Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of Random Encounters. And not just any old episode of Random Encounters. The show, as you may know, is one where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, together with an electronic die roller and input from you, the folks in the live chat room, to help to generate a trio of drawing prompts, ideas, rough ideas to work with. A who, a creature, a character, a, 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 a job, and a what. The whole purpose in doing this show is to help promote the fact that drawing is fun, and I encourage you to join me. Grab your favorite pen and sketchbook, or just a stack of uh, printer paper, or just some scrap that you got lying around. Notebook, just a lined notebook. I do a lot of my drawing in lined notebooks with ballpoint pens. That's as fancy as I get. Because the drawing is the fun part. The ideas you come out with, you can use them in so many ways. I mean, granted, I am a professional cartoonist. But it's not always cartoon ideas that come out of drawing. Sometimes that's just a good way to let your mind go free. The ideas flow. You put things down. You make connections you wouldn't make before, and you have ideas that you never would have had to begin with. So there's a lot of good practical use in the impractical, uh, almost just wasteful time of drawing for no reason, and plus fun. So I encourage you, please. You don't have to draw the same things I'm doing. You don't have to draw the same ideas I'm drawing. You just grab it and draw whatever you like. You can draw what you see in front of you. Say, oh, no, 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 you don't need to thank me. I've gotten all I need just from knowing this happened. But you'll say, no, 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 I need to thank you. And I'll say, all right, you can thank me. It's okay. Get it off your chest. So, yes, that's what we're doing. Hello, Michael in chat. How you doing? Uh, have I gotten any word from the floor how Necromancer demos are going? No, in fact, until I posted. So, yes, Gen Con is going on. And one of the things that's happening at Gen Con is our fine friends over at Cobalt Press have released a new card game that my friend Jeff Quick was the primary designer on, and I did all the art for. And they've been kind of promoting it leading up, but now it's for sale, and they're running demos at the booth, and you can go there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the booth number is. Michael in chat, if you look that up and put it in chat, I'll say it out loud so people can find it. But if you go there, you can get a demo of the game. You can pick up a copy of the game, and they have some promo cards which you can get that you can add into your deck. I think it's just one promo card. I'm really not sure. It's at least one, and it's also while supply lasts, as these things tend to be. So, if you're at Gen Con and you're watching this, head on over to the Cobalt Press booth, and if nothing else, get in a demo. Give the game a try. It's a fun game, and it's got beautiful art, if I do say so myself. Anyway, that's what's going on here. Oh, Michael says it is booth number 1649. Michael says he's jealous they get a special card. Me too, because I'm not there. I don't get a special card. They probably will send me one. I hope. Anyway, anyhow, let's switch over to the views. We'll come over here and we will see the the drawing I did for the promo for this week. Our Gen Con theme. I like how this one turned out. I think that even taking those tags off, that drawing might be worth making into a sticker someday. Particularly if the next time I'm going to go to Gen Con or maybe any con, I can make it as a good giveaway sticker. This guy just amuses me. Anyway, here we go. What do we get on a 2 and a 2? A 2 and a 2, we get Venger from the D&D cartoon at the True Dungeon. True Dungeon is an event that takes place at. It started at Gen Con, and now they do it at a lot of different conventions. They made a whole business out of True Dungeon, but it's a an event where they set up a it's almost like an escape room, a D&D escape room. And you're going through encounters. You want to get through encounters to the end of it, and they have special rules for how you're not actually swinging swords and particularly not casting spells. But they've got little LARP live action role play rules for the game. Very exciting. So we're gonna do Venger at the True Dungeon. So one of the things they do at True Dungeon is for spellcasting, they give you a little beanbag. And you toss the beanbag, and if you hit the target with the beanbag, then you hit them with your spell. So I think I'm going to Venger, being a big spellcasting demon. We're going to have him and this person will be all fried up from having been zapped, and the referee is going to be here telling him, no, you can't do that. And Venger's going to be, but he hit me with a beanbag. I'm going to make the referee, I know this is not true to what actually goes on, but the referee is going to be wearing like soccer referee clothing. Maybe even holding out a red card. Like so. I'm trying to think of now. I'm already thinking I need to reverse this whole thing. Thankfully, this is the first drawing, so I don't have to worry about it. But I need to take the whole thing. Oh wait, no, I do have to worry about it. Okay, we're going to need to grab that and flip it horizontal. Why? Because I want the referee to be saying something first and Venger to be saying something second. Move that over so it takes up a little more room, gives us a little more space next to the referee. I do, however, need to switch Venger's. Venger has one big horn, and the other side is broken off. So if I was going to say no real spell casting allowed. And Venger's going to say, but he threw a beanbag in my face. There we go. Hello, Surreptitious. Thank you for joining. Hey, Dave Lemon. Thank you for joining. Look at all these fine people who are not at Gen Con and still having a good time hanging out with us. All right, that's enough. That's a good enough sketch. Let's get on and do some drawing. Again, as I say in the beginning, the idea of this is to do something quick and fun and not worry about getting overly precious about being right or having it turn out great. I struggle with that because, you know, because it's a show and I want people to come by and look at it and be impressed. But for you, and the point I'm making with the show, it's you just want to put something down for the fun of it. Put it put it down, let it happen. Come back later. Maybe if it's good, you come back and draw it again. That's what I actually do. Even though I'm trying to make these look as good as I can, if I do something that actually is worthwhile, I'll go back and draw it again later. I'll take what I did during the show as a sketch. I was saying last week in particular that one of the things those of you who are just learning to draw should take note of is that you very often will see artists who do these kinds of things live or even on the internet, and they're immediately they just start drawing and things turn out perfect, and that's a trick. Uh, it it's like a magic trick. Very often they have practiced and drawn the thing that they're going to work on several times beforehand. It's one of the things that a lot of people don't know about Bob Ross and the uh, um, his show, The Joy of Painting. He did, I think, two versions of each of those paintings before taping, and there was at least one. I think he then recorded doing the painting of it twice, so that they could one where he's doing the talking, and one he just did it again. So in case they needed some shots, it didn't turn out right in the first one. Uh, you'd have those. So it looks like he just comes up with these things out of nowhere, but it's not true. No, almost no one does that. There really are some uh, super genius artists who can um, just pick up a pen and draw it perfect the first time through, and it looks great. Sergio Aragonés being maybe chief among them, but there are other artists who have different things that they do, and the show of it is is a big part of it. Right? They want to be impressive, and who doesn't? Like I say, I do too. But I think it's important to since I talk so much about getting new people to draw or people to start drawing who haven't been, to kind of point out that you'll always see me do these rough sketches before I draw anything, and and fix it up as much as I can. You'll see me starting with rough uh, geometric shapes on all the drawings and shifting things around. It's important. That's what drawing is about. That's how it works. I think you know what, I haven't. It's been a while since I played. Uh, I was in a True Dungeon event, and they don't hand out red cards, and they don't have a referee, but I think it really kind of helps sell this gag. Now here, this guy is going to be all fried up, so I don't need to worry about any real details on his body. I just need to get the shape about right. Right, and then we're gonna think about like Looney Tunes after a a stick of dynamite blows up in Wile E. Coyote or Daffy Duck's face. All right, that's what I want this to have the feeling of. And he's gonna have some wisps of smoke coming off him here. I'm trying to figure out what I want to show here. Maybe just a little magical ray that's still coming off the end. All right, it's looking pretty good. And we're gonna come in here. Actually, I'm gonna make the pen bigger because I wanted to be shouting, and so I want these letters to be larger. This part of the joke here is that there is no real spell casting at all. Ha ha. You do realize that, right? I trust that you guys know. Go. And we'll do the blue circle again. I'm using the Procreate app will allow me to do a rough ellipsis, and it will turn it into a finished ellipsis, which is so much easier. All right, so let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we got here. That's looking pretty good. Oh, finish that off just a little extra. Okay, and now we'll go to our colors layer, where I'm going to use the gloaming brush, so it got kind of a crayon-y, markery effect, and I can do this rough coloring that I like to do. I haven't talked about this much. I've talked about it a lot. Don't get me wrong. I know Michael and Surreptitious and Dave Lemon are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but it's a trick you can do when you're coloring in a coloring book or something else, where you don't have to fill up the entire space. You do partial things, but the way to make that really look good is to do what I call the shape within the shape style coloring. And I think Venger is going to be the one where that is going to be the easiest to show you what I mean. Oh, maybe this guy's pants will. So I want to do that. That leg is one shape. That leg is another shape, and it's only at the top where they join up. And so by leaving those little bits of space uncolored, it helps to create that illusion of 3D and uh, and sometimes even texture. I'm gonna put just a light shading so that the white on his shirt doesn't look like it's nothing. Now Venger has a bluish green skin tone. It's kind of a bluish. Now if we go by what he looks like in the cartoon. Sometimes it's greenish. Maybe greenish would be a little better. We've got a lot of blue going on here. Here it's this shape within a shape is a little bit going on with his face and hands, but they're kind of delicate. It's when we get to his shirt and and skirt that it's really going to show up. Now, if I want to give that arm again that feeling that there's some ripple in the sleeve, or here on the bottom part of his robe, that there's some hint of folds in in the robes and do it that way. And we'll take the bean bag, we'll make it blue with some red polka dots. No, that's not a good color. Blue with some dark blue polka dots. No, what do I want? I want to do something to it. Maybe I just want to do a little shading on it. Not so again. Well, one of the things I also talk about is you want to be careful about putting too much detail on something that's so little that no one's ever going to be able to see it, because they will be able to tell that something weird is going on there, and they will think that it's important. Their brain will tell them it's important because it's different, and you don't want that. You don't want the brain to be making decisions for you. You want to be telling your viewer what's important, what they should be looking at, what they should be ignoring. Oh, here we go. I completely left out the back of the cape. Again, by putting some shapes within there, we get that feeling of folds in the cape, even though there's really nothing. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of shading on the underside, in this case on the right side, underside of any folds or shapes, and then the very right side of each character. Do that for his skin tone, his green skin tone. Take a darker version of the color we've already used. Drop, a little darker than that. Drop just a little bit of shading. Make his eye look like he got a black eye from the beanbag. And let's see, a little gray here for the smoke, the wispy smoke. And I think we're getting pretty close to it. I'm looking at this, and I think what I want to add is maybe a little idea that the beanbag just fell to the ground and that our referee is in motion. And one last bit of coloring. Been talking about this the last few weeks too. Right now, they're just kind of floating in a completely undefined space. Now we know they're standing on the ground, but it's not defined at all. But if I come in here and I'm going to take kind of a greenish gray, and I'm going maybe even That gives the idea of a wall behind them, and suddenly they feel like they're in a room. And it feels so much more, for a little addition like that, it feels um, a lot more grounded. So now I will come back to my line slayer and my inking brush, and I'll come down here in the corner, and I'm going to put a stand there because I always sign things when I'm done. And we will say we have finished Venger at the True Dungeon. Done. I'm done. And we will say we have finished Venger at the True Dungeon. Done. Let's see what's. But is close up magic allowed? I don't know. We do some. um, David says he gets so weirdly nostalgic for the TSR castle. Yeah, we were talking about that on my Wednesday show on the 50 years in the dungeon last night. I had Jeff Grubb on, and we were talking about Gen Con and kind of the history of Gen Con, the Gen Cons we've been to over the years. And we got to talking about the TSR castle. And it's strange, it used to be a thing that everyone really knew exactly what you were talking about, but the TSR castle's been gone for 25 years. It was only around for about 7 or 8. And so a lot of people they hear that phrase and they don't understand that it was actually that it took up the center of the convention hall space, and it was a mock-up, a foam core and convention uh, construction mock-up of a castle. It had castle walls with gates in them, and there was no roof over it, but there were towers, and the sales spot was like a little keep in the back, and each of the towers had a space at which people could, the TSR staff would run demos of the various games and worlds that we do stuff in. But that, I mean, even photos of that are kind of rare to find these days. Um, Yeah, no, he didn't know it was only around for 8 years. So, I mean, they had it in the 80s. That kind of thing just wasn't practical. They didn't make that kind of thing. Gen Con that was big, but it was just signs, and even for TSR, it was signs and stuff. But as the company did better and better, and they wanted the show to seem more and more prestigious, and Lorraine wanted it to be clear to everyone that TSR was the central point of this convention. Just taking up the center of it in a big block wasn't enough. She wanted to, wherever you looked at the convention floor, you would see the TSR castle. And so that started in about 93, I want to say, maybe even as late as 94. Um, and when Wizards took over, they had their own castle-ish version because Magic is, you know, doing great. They had their own castle-ish thing, just a couple of towers, and it kind of clashed with the TSR castle. So they put in a bunch to build a new thing, which also took up a lot of space. It was more implied than the TSR castle. There were towers, but there weren't as many walls and inside decorations as there was at the original TSR castle, and that was right around 99. It might have even been the year that third edition launched. Might have been 2000, and that was around for 4 or 5 years, I would guess. So all told, castles in general, I'm gonna guess 10 or 12 years that that there was something like that. But still, that wraps up in the early aughts, which is 20 plus years ago. Crazy. Crazy. All right, let me have a sip of my soda. Let me come here and reset. We're going to turn off round one, turn on round two, turn back on the encounter tables, and we had Venger going to the true dungeon. Let's roll the dice again and see what we get for our second prompt. We're going to come back here to the die roller, and we're going to roll around and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll, and we got another 2 and a 3. So 3 is the who, 2 is the other what. I'm going to reach out to you guys in chat for some help figuring out what we do here. 3 is Cthulhu, so another not necessarily D&D, but another big bad guy. And we could have the ENnie Awards or the costume contest or minis painting or something else. Just make it something Gen Con related. Something you can be something that's not on the what table, but you guys get to pitch in and give me some ideas. What do we got? We're gonna have Cthulhu. I often will write Great Cthulhu, but it made it too long in this one. Cthulhu doing something at Gen Con. So let me come here. I'll turn off that. Turn back on the blue. I like to do my sketching in blue. So we've got Cthulhu. He's at Gen Con. What's he doing at Gen Con? What is Cthulhu doing at Gen Con? Let's just do a quick Cthulhu sketch here. I probably won't keep this because we'll want to change him to match whatever it is we have him doing, but Cthulhu would love to see scale Cthulhu in the cosplay contest with all the rest of the human scale participants. So that's a lot of drawing for one quick sketch. You've already so we name that. That's Cthulhu and all the other human scale things, which we're gonna want to have some detail on. So I'm gonna hesitate on that, but the idea uh, of Cthulhu signing in for the costume contest. Um, so yeah, no, surreptitious. That sounds like a really good idea for a drawing, just not a really good idea for a drawing in this milieu. Um, although, although you have given me an idea, I'm going to take your idea and modify it slightly. We're going to have a few other people. And they're going to be dressed as Cthulhu. But the question is, what could Cthulhu be dressed as? To me, that's the gag. Is this guy's gonna be saying another Cthulhu, and he's gonna be saying, "No, I'm." What? I mean, I tell you, my first thought is uh, to have him say, "No, I'm dressed as a mind flayer." But we can make him anything. Yeah, mine. So surreptitious and a mind flayer too. See, great. But see, you do have. Now I'm gonna say you have great thoughts because they're just like mine. But still, we're thinking along the same lines. Okay. There we go. That's enough. That's enough to get started. The gag itself. This is going to be a lot like some of the drawings in my notebooks, in that the drawing is not going to be particularly well fleshed out, but we put the characters in place. We're going to have our costume contest person wearing some faux armor. They're in costume too. And let's see, we're going to have this guy have a hat with a chin strap. He's going to be carrying a Necronomicon. This guy's going to have goggles. Why? I don't know. Why not? And he's going to be carrying like a steamship, like Cthulhu would have picked it up out of the water. In fact, his big thing is he's going to have made himself a fake sea to be rising up out of. Look how much thought we're putting into these costumes for people who are background characters. Cthulhu over here. Is going to be in black robes like we often see um, black robes with the behind the head I don't know what you call that. What do you call that thing? I mean, like Doctor, like it's at the back of a cloak. The big collar. Is it just a collar? I don't know. And we don't have to know what it's called. We just have to know how to draw it. So this guy's going to say, "Welcome to the costume con another Cthulhu costume." This is definitely again as a finished thing. This would need to be rewritten. The gag I think is pretty solid. The the writing that I'm doing here, this is bad writing on my part. No, dressed as mind flare. There we go. I'll say not the best gag in the world, but not the worst. And now we'll turn off the sketch layer and see what we got here. Yeah, looking pretty good. I don't I'm not going to worry too much about this one. It's a quick idea, like I often say we're trying to do. We're just going to try and get this idea down quickly and move on. And then I'm going to move it to a different kind of green for this guy because no one picks the uh, same cloth, the same textures. I do like the idea of doing a Cthulhu costume where you create a little shim of water so you can look like you're rising up out of the deep. Suppose if I was ever going to be a Cthulhu cosplayer, I'd want to go for that. And then our knight will have the same kind of three-tone armor coloring that I tend to do. And then Cthulhu here. I'm going to practice a little of those shape within the shapes. Can you? I'm wondering if you can begin to recognize the shapes that I'm going to pick before I draw them. Little. There we go. A little darker version back behind the head. Makes me chuckle. It's not a great joke. Shame the dude on the left side is not carrying a nautilide, says David Shepard. That, that would be a very deep cut joke. And by deep, I mean most people wouldn't get it. I think it's a great joke for folks that would get it. I think that this is one of the challenges when you're doing stuff like this, or I guess any kind of thing. You gotta wonder. You gotta make a decision. You don't have to wonder. You have to make a decision early on. Is your audience the people that know it already and are gonna? You can go for some really deep cuts. But if you do that, that means everyone that doesn't know it already, you've just got to write them off. There's no way that they're going to. Uh, they're going to look at it and go, "I don't get it." And like, I mean, it's like what used to happen when I would do drawings or write a short story and show it to my family, who are not gamers and not fantasy or horror fans. And so I'd show them things, and they would look at it. And in the end, my mother got to say, she'd look at it and she said, I appreciate the skill that it takes to do this, but it's not for me. And you know what? I appreciated that. Rather than her going, "Oh, it's so good. Look at the thing," when she didn't get it. She didn't understand it. And I knew she didn't. And you know, it's not even. I think that I stopped bringing things to show to her for a while, and I think that made her sadder than not understanding. Because as as a an artist, as a creative, you want to show it to people who will appreciate it. And although I understood when she didn't get it, it it didn't make me feel good. So I stopped for a while. I stopped bringing her things, and like I say, that made her sad. So and she asked why I didn't bring it to her. So I did, and much to her much to her credit, that's when she started saying things like, I really appreciate the skill. I can't imagine being able to do that, but I don't get it." Um, all right, so let's come back here and go back to the inking layer and put a little stand in the corner, because I think that's about all we're going to get for Cthulhu at the costume contest. Boop, 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 boop. Someone says a Medici collar? Maybe it is. Maybe that is the term. I really have no idea. No, ma'am, I'm a dolphin. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, goodness. Look at the fun we're having, even though we're not in Indianapolis. Um, I mean, the truth of the matter is that Gen Con, it's hard going to Gen Con. One of the reasons why I don't go is it's expensive. But another reason, occasionally someone will say, "Well, I'll bring you out," but unless they have a hotel room that's near the convention center and lots of other just crazy big asks for me, like I it, going to the show is so tiring and expensive in ways beyond the flight or the hotel is, that it's one of those things I wish I could snap my fingers and be there, because I want to be there and see my friends and see the show and interact with fans and do stuff like that. But the getting to Gen Con and price you pay for having spent a week putting that much out is such that I'm not sure when the next time I'm going to go to Gen Con is. I'd like to think maybe next year. Every year I think maybe next year. But when I think about it, realistically, probably not. On the other hand, if one of the things, if this show suddenly catches fire and Gen Con wants to have me out as a special guest, and they want to fly me out and give me a hotel room in one of the hotels right nearby, and maybe even a little per diem to cover the cost of food, or someone wants to fly me out and someone wants to put me up, and I can get a bunch of different sponsors, I, I, I miss it enough that I'd go, but it's seeming less and less likely. Anyway, Michael in chat says, if we were playing the superpower game last week, we were playing it and they said you'd pick teleportation. Teleportation is high on my list. I played one of the big early games I played for a very long time was like an 8-year campaign of villains to vigilantes, and my main character had teleportation, and so it has remained super high on my list. Can you do anything? What superpower do I want? Teleportation would be nice, because I've given a lot of thought to how I could use that for all kinds of fun things. So yeah, teleportation would be great. I'd teleport to Gen Con for, I teleport there for the ENnie Awards, or for a seminar or two, or for an afternoon. Teleport back, sleep in my bed, get up the next morning, bam, over to Gen Con I go. If the live caricature program starting picks up, maybe, yeah. You know what? There's another thing. If my doing live cartoons, cartoons for live events, that's certainly a thing that would be great at Gen Con. I've talked to some people about how that might work at a live event, to have what I'm drawing, same way as broadcast here onto the internet, put up onto a screen where people in the audience can see what I'm drawing, but the people playing can't. That would be fun. That would be great. Let's make that happen. All right. We have one more sip. And then we'll reset the board. Get all ready. And we'll do one more and call it a Gen Con evening. Call it a weekend. Go back to watching people post about what's happening in Indianapolis. So, we had Cthulhu at the costume contest. We had Venger at the True Dungeon. Let's go back to the dice and see what we get for our final drawing of the evening. And again, since the numbers may well double up, you guys should be ready to help come up with ideas. Either pick something else that's on the chart or new ideas. Here we go. 4 and 3. 4 and 3 is what we got. So 4 is a beholder, and 3 is a costume contest. Now, I don't know. I don't want to send the beholder to the costume contest too. Dave says the stand-up Steve Hofstetler travels with a cartoonist who draws bits from the crowd work. Yeah, I know a few stand-ups who have worked cartoon into their show, and I know some cartoonists who do stand-up. Yeah, there's lots of ways. I gotta break through that and get someone who has the ability and the budget to make it happen, to give it a shot. I think it'd be cool. Beholder ENnie. and he loses graciously. Yeah, I'm thinking if it was ENnie Awards, it would definitely be, well, okay, let's do that then. There we go. There's our answer. Beholder at the ENnie Awards. So, I think there's two ways to do this. One is, let me zoom in here. One is to have the beholder in the crowd, and up on the stage, we've got someone handing out an award, and we got two piles of dust, and he's saying something like, "Since our gold and silver ENnie winners have both been disintegrated, may I present this year's Universal uh, uh, winner, the Beholder. I'm proud to announce this year's Universal winner is," and we don't even have to say who. I kind of like that as an idea. The other way is to do the same kind of thing, only the Beholder's up on stage and they're hanging the gold and silver medals around his neck, and the guy's saying, since our other nominees have all mysteriously disintegrated, the gold and silver ENnies go to. I'm not sure. This one is a little easier to draw because this one um, has some foreshortening and distance involved. Um, I also like the idea of hanging the medals on the eye stalks. So I think this one here is the more artistically pleasing version. I think this one here is the one I'm going to go for. So we're going to have. Make him bigger here. I guess we don't have to have someone on the mic. It can be one of the people. Yeah, so this guy over on the left is the one that's going to be saying it. And I think here's the other thing. I think I'm going to do just a drawing, and then I'm going to drop in the text at the bottom like a New Yorker cartoon. Okay, I like that. Rough sketch, but a good enough sketch. And I think I'm going to start with our two little award presenters. The question is, should this guy be looking nervously at the beholder or off to the crowd? I think nervously at the beholder. Like so. And then over on this side, we'll have someone hanging another. On that eye stalk. We don't need that to be especially detailed, just enough that people can get it. And then we'll come in here. I at first I had the beholder with kind of a knowing evil look, but I like better the idea that give him the me really. Oh, you shouldn't have. And now we don't even have to have the. I guess the thing we're potentially missing on this are the piles of ashes that were in the other version. But we don't have to see that for the joke to work. And let me just do this here so that my machine doesn't make a noise again. Hopefully. I don't know why, but this kind of big surprise goofy grin is really cracking me up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, no more. I often say when we're drawing beholders, you don't have to draw all 10 eye stalks, but you can't draw more than that. I've had people look at beholder drawings I did and say there's not enough eye stalks, and I'll say no, they're kind of out the back. They're not all always facing forward, but if I draw 11 of them, then that's wrong. All right, let's turn off the sketches and see what we got here. What do I need? Yeah, I thought the beholder might need a little more. Like so. Looking good. All right. Now we'll go to our color layer. Grab the gloaming brush again. Make it a little larger because we're working with a large creature. Now make it a little smaller because I'm getting into the mouth area here between the teeth. And if I go over some of these lines, it actually will make a bit of a difference. Okay. Don't want the eyes to be too white. Now I'm going to go with a fake black again for the tuxedo. Red ribbons, and we'll have a silver and a gold ENnie. I'm going to come back again like I did on the first one, and again to give us an idea of some context. I'm going to put a shadow on the ground under the beholder to show that he's hovering there like a beholder does. Maybe I do want to give him a little bit of floaty bobbing motion like that. And now it can come, so I'm going to add text. I'm going to put a text box here at the very bottom. And we're going to change this around. We're going to go for, I like to do a Times New Roman. And what is it, about 25 point? Is that right? That's maybe a little small, but we'll see. No, 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 no. What do I want to do? What do I need to do? I need to edit that text. Yeah, so we'll make it there. And now I need to type in quote. Nope. Quote. Due to the unfortunate disintegration of the other nominees, the silver, oh, I guess I don't need to capitalize silver. Silver and gold. Now, so bring it up. ENnie's go to dot dot dot. That's all. We don't need to finish that. And now I'm going to grab all that text and I'm going to change the size down. That's about right. So look, 25 is pretty much where we want to be. So I was right. I made a pretty good guess at the 24. Now I've done this before, so it's not a blind guess. But here we go. Due to the unfortunate disintegration of the other nominees, the silver and gold ENnies go to. And we'll come back to the lines layer, and I will add in a little stand. Where are we going to put it? There we go. And we have our beholder at the ENnie Awards. Due to the unfortunate disintegration of the other nominees, the silver and ENnies go to me. I suppose you're talking about the background doesn't need a stage floor. I don't know that we need a stage floor, but I think what we might could use is a hint of the curtain back there. with a hint of shadow underneath it because the curtain doesn't meet the floor exactly. There we go. A third drawing. Not the bronze. Well, they don't have bronze ENnies. You know what? I guess it's been a while since I went to the ENnies, but uh, it used to be that the ENnies, instead of having a winner and a loser, they would give out a silver and a gold for each of the categories. And if you won either, you could call yourself an ENnie winner, so that it doubled the number of winners there were for every category. I think I want to come in here, look at this, and maybe add a little bit of shading to help it seem a little less flat. Not a lot, not a ton. Just a bit here and there. I don't think that either of our award presenters need it, but I think that the beholder does. And maybe a little off coloring on it. I did it in the eyes. Probably should do it on the teeth too. Because I tell you, one of the things the beholder doesn't do is brush their teeth very often. Okay, there we go. Done. I'm calling this one done. All right. Good evening. It's been a good evening, everyone. Thank you all for your putting up with me and your participation and your really good ideas, uh, even when I might have not chosen them. It's I mean it's fun. I find it fun to kind of just talk about the theory on why this is a good idea, but it's not the idea for here. You know. Anyway, let's uh, uh, let's have one more sip, and then we will call it an evening, and we'll do an outro. All right. A beholder at the ENnies. That was our third prompt this week. Thank you to chat for getting us there, and for all the great ideas that you had. Uh, Also, our second one was Cthulhu at the costume contest. And our first one was Venger at the True Dungeon. And that was our show, our Gen Con themed evening of improv cartooning. Thank you all for stopping by. I had a good time. I hope you did. I hope it makes up a little for us not being at Indy for the show itself. I do want to let you know that tomorrow I will be back. In fact, I have two more Gen Con related live streams coming up this weekend. And one is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, where I will be getting together with my good friend Owen K.C. Stevens. Owen and I have a long-standing tradition when we're in Indy, in at least one or two evenings during the show. We just kind of find a hotel, one of the nice hotel lobbies. It's got a nice couch in it, and we sit down on the couch and we invite people to stop by and chat with us. We call it Convo on the Couch. And we post out to our social media followers. And then, of course, we know lots of folks. So as they're passing by, we call them over. Gen Con's a place that sometimes you don't see. Everyone's running around. You don't get to see the people you want to see. Sometimes the best way to do it is to just sit in one place and let them, if you're on a high traffic area, let them pass by you. So that was part of our thinking in doing that. But it turned into a fun event where it would be like a talk show. And people would just come and hang out around us, ask us questions, and special guests would show up, and we'd have a conversation with whoever came by. And then word would get out we were doing it, and people would come by specifically to stop and say hi. So the last few years, Owen and I have not been able to make it to Gen Con, but we have made a habit of doing these online Convo on the Couch events. And this year's, as I say, is tomorrow, Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And it'll go for as long, kind of like the ones in the real lobbies, it'll just go on as long as we're feeling it. And when one of us gets tired and wants to go to bed or needs to get up and go get something to eat, that'll be the end of the show. Um, I imagine it will be at least an hour. It may be two or more. We've had some of these that went like 4 hours because we were just hanging out and having a good time. I don't want to promise that. If you want to see it, if you want to be in the live interaction, check in early. But then it'll be up for replay here on my channel, so you can check it out later. That's tomorrow. Saturday, I have another one. I have a completely unofficial, not related to Gen Con in any way, Gen Con seminar with my good friend Jeff Quick. Sorry, I know a few Jeffs. I also have a brother named Jeff. Jeff Quick, who is the designer of the Necromancer card game we were talking about earlier, the one that has just been published by Cobalt Press, and you can go and see them at. I'm looking up here again, booth 1649. You can get the newly released Necromancer card game that Jeff did the design for, and I did the art for. If we were at Gen Con, we for sure would have seminars about that, and so we decided that since neither of us is going to be there, we'll just have a seminar anyway. And so we'll talk about that, and as these things go, whatever it is that folks want to ask questions of, we will be happy to talk about. But we for sure will talk a bit, and maybe I'll show some of the art from Necromancer. Maybe Jeff will talk a bit about the design and how that all came together. It should be a fun time, and that's Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Saturday, August 2nd. So Friday, August 1st, 4 p.m. Pacific. Saturday, August 2nd, 2 p.m. Pacific. Come on back, and we'll hang out and chat some more. And then, of course, next week I'll be back with another episode of both of my regular shows, so Wednesday and Thursday. So come back then. Whew. Wow. Having gone through all of that, I'm going to go get myself some dinner. I hope you all are doing good. Hope you have fun. If you are at Gen Con and you're watching this in your hotel room while you're trying to fade down and go to sleep, have a good time. Say hi to folks for me. If you're watching anywhere else at any other time, thank you for tuning in too. Definitely appreciate you. Please, after this is done, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. That's very helpful to getting other people to know about the show and increasing our audience. If you could leave a little message, leave a comment afterwards. I know everyone who's been in the chat has left lots of comments, and I love it. God, I love it. But what really helps algorithmically is if you leave a comment after the show is done and leave it in the comments there. And again, the reason for that is it helps to get this show and my channel shown to more people so they can join us and we can have more people to have fun with. That's all. So